Hello there, good evening. Egypt's role has not been limited to mediating a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. It's extended to facilitate the entry of humanitarian aid, contributing to the reconstruction efforts and supporting the Palestinian people in various ways. The Egyptian committee operating inside Gaza continues to play a vital role in transporting displaced persons returning to their homes, providing essential support to residents within the Strip and helping rebuild critical infrastructure, including road rehabilitation and other vital services. You're watching special coverage here on Q News, where we give you the latest developments in the ending of the war on Gaza.
الآن في شرم الشيخ بتجرى مفاوضات لإنهاء الحرب.
I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on Sunday.
لازم أسجل بتقدير واحترام شديد للرئيس الأمريكي ترامب على إرادته الحقيقية في إنهاء الحرب خلال جولة المفاوضات الحالية.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held talks with his Cypriot counterpart, Nikos Christodoulidis, on the latest developments regarding the ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip. Presidential spokesperson, Ambassador Mohammed El-Shenawi, stated that President el-Sisi emphasized the need to deploy international forces in Gaza and to grant the ceasefire agreement international legitimacy through the UN Security Council. Both presidents stressed the urgent need to begin the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. President el-Sisi also announced Egypt's intention to host an international conference on early recovery and reconstruction. He extended an invitation to the Cypriot president to attend the celebration Egypt will host to mark the signing of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has discussed the latest developments surrounding the Gaza ceasefire agreement, reached through Egyptian, Qatari and US mediation, with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. President el-Sisi emphasized the importance of consensus and full implementation across all phases of the accord. Guterres praised Egypt's pivotal role and efforts towards peace, called for international legitimacy through the UN Security Council, and highlighted the need for immediate reconstruction. Both reaffirmed cooperation to improve Gaza's humanitarian situation and support Palestinian rights. Egypt's Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli says the country has succeeded in securing a ceasefire agreement in Gaza and easing the suffering of the Palestinian people, an achievement widely praised internationally. Prime Minister Madbouli expressed his appreciation to Egypt's sovereign institutions for their pivotal role in reaching the ceasefire, describing it as a testament to Cairo's leadership and unwavering commitment to regional stability. He emphasized that global powers have commended Egypt's diplomatic efforts in ending the violence in Gaza and restoring hope for lasting peace across the region. And Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati has discussed regional developments and the ongoing progress to end the Gaza war in a phone call with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio ahead of the upcoming Sharm el-Sheikh summit. Both sides reviewed preparations for the summit, which will be co-chaired by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the US President Donald Trump. Secretary Rubio hailed the summit as a historic milestone and praised Egypt's pivotal leadership in securing the peace accord. Minister Abdel Ati reaffirmed Egypt's commitment to implementing the agreement's stages and advancing the two-state solution as the foundation for lasting regional peace. The Egyptian Committee for the Relief of Gaza Residents has launched a major operation to help displaced Palestinians return home, deploying 100 trucks to transport families back to northern Gaza. The committee said the initiative reflects Egypt's firm commitment to supporting the people of Gaza through every stage of resilience and return. On Saturday morning, dozens of trucks began moving displaced residents from several areas across the Strip back to their homes, part of Cairo's broader efforts to stabilize the situation and restore normal life after months, 2 years in fact, of conflict. US President Donald Trump has announced that Israeli detainees held in Gaza will begin returning, along with the recovery of around 28 bodies. Trump said the Gaza agreement would benefit Israel, the Middle East and the world, expressing confidence in the durability of the ceasefire. Trump revealed plans to visit Israel to address the Knesset, then travel to Egypt for the official signing ceremony attended by several world leaders. He also announced the creation of a peace council to oversee Gaza's reconstruction.
Going to Israel, I'll be speaking at the Knesset, I think, early on, and then I'm also going to Egypt. I think I'll go to Cairo. I think that's where we're going, as opposed to the place of the signing. And we have a lot of leaders from all over the world coming too. You know, they've been invited.
President Trump there earlier. Hamas and other Palestinian factions have announced in a joint statement that they are working with Egyptian mediation to convene an urgent national meeting aimed at unifying the Palestinian stance following the ceasefire. Hamas described the current phase as an opportunity to strengthen social solidarity and support affected families in Gaza, emphasizing cooperation among factions and institutions for reconstruction. The movement welcomed Arab and international participation in rebuilding efforts, reaffirmed appreciation for Egyptian, Qatari and Turkish mediation, and urged continued US and international pressure to ensure Israel's full compliance with the agreement. Egypt's decisive mediation and logistical leadership mark the first tangible steps forward towards Gaza's post-war recovery.
Since the ceasefire came into effect, hundreds of aid trucks laden with food, medicine, and humanitarian supplies have entered Gaza through the Rafah border crossing, with daily convoys coordinated under United Nations oversight. These sources emphasize that Egypt's logistical contributions have played a central role in delivering relief to the Gaza Strip beleaguered population. Reports confirm that parts of Gaza have begun receiving intermittent power restored under the truce's provisions, allowing limited electricity to vital facilities and households. The re-energizing of the network is a key indicator of the agreement's early impact on civilian life. That comes as thousands of displaced Gazans have begun returning to their home neighborhoods in the north, walking across reopened corridors as security is maintained under the ceasefire framework. The return flows are described as cautious and gradual, with preliminary assessments underway of damages to infrastructure and housing. Egypt has been credited for its pivotal mediating role in brokering the ceasefire and supervising the early operational phase. That comes as Cairo is the primary regional enabler of the agreement, as Egyptian diplomatic, security, and logistical assets were indispensable to achieving consensus and facilitating implementation.
Hani Saif there with that report. Now we are pleased to welcome from Al Ahram the managing editor, Mohammed Ez El-Din, joining us from Cairo. Thank you very much for being here with us on Q News. So we're talking about Egypt and Egypt's role in reaching this agreement, this ceasefire agreement, this first phase. What is your view on how Egypt has played its role in trying to end the war in the Gaza Strip?
Thank you for hosting me. Certainly, Egypt played a huge role that will be written in history books, especially in this complex phase with the tension and the suffering the people of Gaza were witnessing. Egypt provided a lot of aid, humanitarian aid and food aid, and for years. Now we're trying to start restructuring and provide Gaza with experts and engineers and in continuing our important role after the war broke out, whether from the part of our president or our government. Egypt's role hindered the forced displacement and always supported the two-state solutions, and Egypt played a huge role in providing aid despite the restrictions the drivers faced and facilitated providing these aids. All of this is a part of what Egypt does for our brethren in Palestine and Gaza Strip, especially. The Egyptian role is very important, and this time there were insistence of working hard and exerting efforts internationally and regionally, and to cooperate with the international community in order to reach a ceasefire and stop the suffering of Palestine. All of this made the US administration feel the importance of Egypt's role, and with all the Egyptian efforts, whether from the political leadership or diplomatic leadership, and the negotiation teams, all of this led to reach a ceasefire and to show Egypt's role also led to closing the gap and stopping the forced displacement of Palestinians and make sure to provide aid to Palestine in Gaza. There are also other things we can't talk about. There isn't enough time to talk about, and many steps Egyptians took in order the negotiations to succeed and reach a ceasefire agreement and start other phases to provide the aid and to start a reconstruction phase and to establish a Palestinian administration with the cooperation of the Arab and international scene and talk about Gaza's future.
Yes, you say there are too many things to mention, and that is true. One of the things I would like to mention is the Egyptian Committee for the Relief of Gaza Residents. What can you tell us about this committee, which is helping transport displaced people and deliver aid to them and also help them get back to their homes?
Early this morning, tens of trucks went to Gaza, and they started to take the Palestinians to return to the north from the south and the middle of Gaza. Of course, unfortunately, the infrastructure is destroyed, and any country would find it hard to reach these areas. The Egyptian committee are exerting all efforts to provide tens of trucks today to help the Palestinians, and which helped as there was not a lot of cars or fuel in Gaza, so we overcame these logistic problems. and they are exerting effort to help the Palestinians family whose homes destroyed all over the Gaza Strip. They help them move safely to their homes and to provide them with food and clothes. A lot of efforts are exerted. There are hundreds of trucks and thousands of tons of food supplies waiting to enter Gaza since yesterday, and even before that. The numbers of the trucks increased despite the fact that some returned, but Egypt are still insisting to provide all the aid as much as possible to our brothers in Gaza and to overcome the obstacles. And the amount of food didn't just increase, but also
Indeed.
medical supplies.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to
increased.
cut you off. There's so many things we could talk about, but unfortunately we're just out of time. Mohammed Ezzardine from Cairo, the Al Ahram managing editor, thank you very much for joining us here on Q News.